Hello everyone, welcome back to Seed and Sparrow Homestead. My name is Kelsey. Before we get into today's video, I wanted to take a quick moment to say thank you to all of you who commented on my last video where I shared a bit of the health struggles I am experiencing right now. Thank you for your words of encouragement and for your prayers. It is much appreciated and such a blessing to me. Your continued prayers are coveted. This is just the first step in a long road to healing, but I am hopeful. So I just wanted to say thank you. So for this week's video, I have documented a few of the meals and some of the other treats and things that I have made over the last week. We are nearing the end of the Three Rivers Pantry Challenge, where I have really not been shopping at the grocery store. I have just been shopping what I have here in my home, trying to use things up, make sure nothing gets wasted, like rummaging through my fridge and pulling out the things that get pushed to the back and making a priority to use them, as well as a lot of the surplus canned goods that I have downstairs in preparation for preservation season now, to free up space, free up jars, all of the above. So yeah, I've got a bunch of yummy meals to share with you. I hope you enjoy, and I hope it gives you some meal inspiration. The first meal I have for you cleared out some things in my fridge and my freezer. We are going to be making some pork wontons. So we have some green onions, some carrots I just harvested from the garden, some ginger, our wonton wraps, some coconut aminos, although you could use a soy sauce if you prefer, some white wine vinegar, and some minced garlic, and of course we will need some pork as well. So we're gonna get our green onions all chopped up. We're gonna separate the green parts from the white parts. They will be used in different parts of this recipe. We're gonna peel our carrots, and once we have them all peeled, we're gonna continue to use that peeler, and we are going to shave down the carrot, creating nice little ribbons. Don't you just love colorful food? I do. I love growing all of the different varieties. I just think it makes it so interesting and so beautiful. So the first item to prepare is our carrot slaw. If you had some purple cabbage or even just some green cabbage on hand, you could slice that up and put it in here as well. But I just had some carrots on hand. So we are adding in just a little bit of sugar and some white wine vinegar. And we're just gonna make a little slaw here, and we're gonna allow this to sit and really marinate in the juices. The longer it sits, the better it tastes. I'm also gonna add in a pinch of salt. We're gonna set that aside and move on to making our pork wonton filling. We need some minced ginger. I peeled this. It's about a thumb's worth of ginger. And I have 1 pound of ground pork here. I'm adding in all of our white scallions, that thumb of ginger, some minced garlic, our coconut aminos, and some salt and pepper. I'm gonna mix this all together. And as always, you can find detailed instructions and an ingredient list for all of today's recipes down in the description below. To assemble our wontons, for one wrapper, you're gonna need about a teaspoon's worth of the filling mixture. It does not take very much to fill up one of these. I know they come in different sizes, but this little square here only holds about a teaspoon's worth of filling. We need to wet all of the edges so that they stick together nicely and keep our filling inside where it belongs. And then you just repeat until all of your wonton wrappers are used up, or you have as many as you need for your family. have some oil here in my skillet, about a tablespoon, maybe 2 tablespoons worth, and it's pretty hot. And then we are going to place all of our wontons in here, not to overcrowd them, but to fit as many as you can in there for about a minute per side. You want them nice and crispy and golden brown. Once you have all of your wontons fried up, you're going to put a splash of water in the pan and place a lid over the top. And you're going to steam them for about 3 to 4 minutes. And here's everything all plated up. I made a dipping sauce with some coconut aminos, a little bit of sugar, and the green scallions. These pork wontons freeze nicely. I cook them all the way through, and then I just put them into whatever container I choose to freeze them in, and they'll keep really well in the freezer for about 3 months. I had some extra filling, and I decided I was just going to cook that up, and Grant and I had just picked some peas, so these are fresh peas going in here, and I thought I would just put this into the freezer, and then it's a quick, easy meal. I can just prepare some of my coconut rice, and dinner is done in just a matter of minutes. Moving on to another meal this week, I had to pull out some of my potato plants. They were getting in the way of my squash plants, and they had these beautiful potatoes underneath. I was actually surprised. They should be in the ground for about another month, but there were 15 potatoes from one seed potato. It was awesome, so I'm getting antsy to dig them all up. It's my favorite part of gardening. So I decided to make some potato wedges to go with this meal, and have them all cut into their wedges. I am just going to add in some olive oil here. You want to make sure they're nice and coated. A generous helping of salt and pepper, and I always like to add in some paprika. We love the flavor there. Making sure those are all well coated, I am putting them onto a cookie sheet lined with parchment paper. This is my favorite way to make any sort of like French fries in the oven. They still get nice and crispy, but they don't stick to the pan. But the secret here to like that nice crispy outer shell is making sure they have good airflow and making sure they're really well coated with olive oil. They went into an oven at 450 degrees for about 35 minutes. But something else we need for dinner tonight is some kale, so out to the garden we go. Back inside, I have removed the stems, and I'm just going to roughly chop up this kale. I have browned some butter here in this skillet. If you're looking for more depth of flavor, try browning your butter first in your recipes. It's also fantastic in chocolate chip cookies, so brown your butter next time you make those. Just gonna throw in my kale here, as well as some shallots that I had left over from something else, and we are going to just saute this up until they are wilted. We are going to remove these from the pan and let them cool down a little. Now we're moving on to the star of the show, which is a nice steak. This is my husband's favorite meal. He is a meat and potatoes type of guy. So you can use, of course, any seasoning that you prefer on your steaks. We cook ours to medium rare. My husband says if they're any more well done than that, then you have ruined a perfectly good steak. So I have removed the steak. I deglazed the pan with some white wine, but you could use chicken broth or even water if that's all you have, just to scrape up those nice brown bits. I threw in some shallots, and I am putting in some beef bouillon. After that has reduced, I removed it from the heat, and I'm going to add in some sour cream. And I think I forgot to mention, there was about a quarter teaspoon of cracked peppercorns in there. That is the star of the sauce. Back to the kale. I am creaming this. I am just putting in some sour cream. It really makes a big difference. And if you don't love kale, try it this way and see how you like it. And that is this night's dinner getting plated up. So, I said I had to clean out my fridge, and what I found was a whole bunch of cottage cheese. Before I had to go on my anti-inflammatory diet, I had purchased a whole bunch of cottage cheese because I wanted to add some more protein to my diet, but I cannot eat this right now. So I'm trying to think of a way that I can get my husband and my children to eat this without them knowing. And I remembered about a viral TikTok going around, not that I watch TikToks, I just saw it somewhere else, and it was a cottage cheese ice cream. So that's what we're doing here. We're making cottage cheese ice cream. It is 1 container of cottage cheese, fruit of your choice, and some honey blended well until completely smooth, and you can make tons of variations of this recipe. I'm just pouring it here into a metal loaf pan so that it can go right into the freezer. Now I made a strawberry cheesecake variation here. So I crumbled up some graham crackers, and I also threw in some more strawberries here. I folded that in and then topped it off with some extra just to make it look good. But you can make a banana and chocolate variation, and you could do a peanut butter and maybe chocolate chip variation. There's a whole bunch. But this is a great way to get some extra protein in your kids, and they think it's ice cream. My kids loved it, and so did my husband. My husband raved over those potato wedges. There's nothing like fresh potatoes out of your garden. They just taste next level. So he was like, can we have some potatoes for breakfast? And he had been on a cheesy egg and some sort of meat kick for a while, but we switched it up this morning, and I decided to make a hash. I love making hashes because you can just kind of throw things in that you need to use up from your fridge or your freezer. So we've got some finely diced potatoes going into our skillet here with some salt and pepper. I like to dice them pretty small because I don't cook them beforehand. I just like how they taste when you throw them right into the pan and they get nice and crispy and cook all the way in here. I'm not a huge fan of boiled potatoes then fried if I have the option to just fry them completely. So I threw in some of the shallot that I had left over in here as well. And I have a whole bunch of peppers still in my freezer from last year's garden that I am trying to work through. So they're going into today's breakfast. Also, when meats are on sale, now, we raise a lot of our own meat, or we buy local because I'm big on organic grass-fed meat. Occasionally, though, I will buy some breakfast sausages at the store if I can find them organic and at a good price. These are on sale, so I have like 5 packs of them in my fridge right now. Threw some into the freezer, but this one went into today's breakfast, and it's just a chicken apple sausage. So everything got nice and browned in the skillet, and I am just adding in some of our eggs from our ladies outside, and this is really just a breakfast for my husband. So 3 eggs are going on top, and this is going to go into the oven under the broiler for about 2 to 3 minutes until the eggs are just cooked over easy. I did throw on some paprika here as well. We call these dippy eggs here in my house. I'm not sure what you call them. I know they are called eggs over easy or sunny side up, but here in our house, they are dippy eggs. But my husband loved this. He was very satisfied with this breakfast. For another dinner this past week, I had found a whole bunch of cheese in the fridge. I have quite a bit of sauce, tomato sauce from the garden last year that needs to be used. So I figured I'd make some pizza. So here I am making our pizza crust. Now this is about the 4th recipe that I have tried in the last few months. I'm trying to go through different recipes and just see which one we enjoy the most. Of course, right now I can't eat them, so I had to rely on my husband's taste buds, and he did like this one very much. So I will make sure, like I said, to include all of the recipes down below. This one's super easy. It is just flour, water, salt, and yeast. Very simple, but very tasty. So everything went in here, and we are allowing this to knead for about 8 minutes with this dough hook, or you can do it by hand. This dough is pretty sticky, but it's still pretty workable. We are going to divide this into 6 equal portions. Now these are like mini pizzas. We like to do a whole bunch of different toppings so that everyone has something that they like. But you can, of course, make this into 2 bigger pizzas or 4 medium size. These are 6 about 8-inch or so pizzas. I am placing these little portions onto an oiled parchment-lined cookie sheet. I'm going to oil the top of these as well, and then I'm placing some saran wrap over the top, and these will sit in a cool location for about 2 hours. When they are all ready, I'm going to flour my surface here, and I'm going to start working out these pizza doughs. So I'm just flattening them first, and I tend to make mine in more of a rectangular shape. I don't really have anything like a pizza stone, so I just use my cookie trays with a parchment sheet on top. So I am just working this pizza dough out here with my knuckles. You just want to try and not make holes in the pizza dough if you can, and just get it into whatever shape you desire. It doesn't have to be circular. It doesn't have to be perfect and symmetrical for it to taste good. So the flavors I am working with here, I'm going to make something a bit more basic for my kiddos. They like good old plain and simple cheese pizza or cheese with pepperoni. So we're going to do some cheese and pepperoni for this one. I am using my prized possession, my Dr. Witchy's yellow tomato sauce. It's more of an orange, but I was pretty excited about it. So I have a whole bunch of that in my pantry, so that's getting put on the pizza. We like our sauce a little bit sweet, so I sprinkled some sugar on there, just a little bit, and some Italian seasoning. And then, of course, our cheese, I'm using some mozzarella and Parmesan, and then I am throwing some pepperoni on top of that. This next one is for my husband. He is a bit more adventurous and he requested a buffalo chicken pizza. So I am pouring on some blue cheese dressing here. If you don't like blue cheese, you can use ranch, but we're all, I should say, my husband and I are blue cheese lovers here in this house. And then I'm sprinkling on some Frank's Red Hot sauce. And I'm just going to spread this in here evenly. To this, I'm going to add some Colby Jack cheese. I'm going to add some shredded chicken, which was in my fridge from another meal where I just roasted a whole chicken. I'm going to add a little bit more cheese. I'm going to add some blue cheese crumbles and some more of the Frank's hot sauce. Now, the key to these pizzas baking correctly, you want your oven super hot. So I set mine to 500 degrees and these were ready in about 7 minutes. Now to mix it up, I decided I'd make some dessert pizzas. You know, like the ones that, at least from what I can remember, were from like Pizza Hut. Although I haven't been to a Pizza Hut or anything like that in over a decade, so I have no clue if they still make these. But I pre-cooked these pizza crusts for about 5 minutes in the oven, and I am using up some of my canned apple pie filling. I have a whole bunch of it. So one jar fit on 2 of these smaller pizzas, and I made a streusel topping with some flour, some brown sugar, some oatmeal, and vanilla and butter, and I sprinkled that over the top. These went back into the oven for about another 5 to 7 minutes until the streusel was nice and crispy and brown. After it came out of the oven, I mixed up an icing, which is just powdered sugar, a little bit of milk, and some vanilla, and drizzled that over the top. So out of these 6 pizzas, I made the 2 dessert apple pie pizzas. We made a 4-cheese pizza, half cheese, half pepperoni, another pepperoni, and then my husband's buffalo chicken pizza. Which I almost forgot to say, I opened up one of my home canned jars of pickled banana rings to go on top of this. It's another reason why I wanted to make the buffalo chicken pizza, so I could use up some of my many jars of banana peppers. So I wanted to make my husband something to take to work. This is a bit indulgent. It's a great way to use up extra jams, which you all know I have plenty of, but I don't make it a whole lot because it is quite indulgent. It is jam bars, and it requires 3 whole sticks of butter and 2 cups of brown sugar. It is delicious. It is very rich, and it is very worth it, but it must be eaten in moderation. So we're going to cream up these 2 ingredients together. I'm going to throw in some vanilla and mix that all up. And then we are going to add in our dry ingredients, which are some rolled oats, some flour, and a little bit of salt. And I almost forgot there's some baking powder in there too. So this gets all mixed together. It is going to be pretty crumbly. It looks more like a streusel topping than it does an actual dough. Make sure to scrape down the sides well at least once or twice while mixing. The butter tends to just get stuck all the way around the edges. So we're going to take this mixture and we are going to put it into a greased 9x13 pan. And we're going to use about 3/4 of this mixture, reserving that last quarter for the topping. This recipe is a good one to get your little ones involved if you still have some children at home. My kids love making this with me. Really, they love making anything with Mama, but they love when they're able to get their hands in it and get a little bit messy in the kitchen. So using up my surplus of jam here, I decided to use some raspberry lemonade jam, which I'm actually regretting. It was delicious in this, but I only have one of those jars left. But it's the one that sounded the most appealing to me, even though I can't eat this right now. But that is what I used. I used some raspberry lemonade jam, but you can use whatever flavor you want. I used 2 of my jelly jars worth here. I'm just going to spread this evenly before adding the rest of our streusel mixture on the top. Now this goes into the oven at 350 degrees for about 35 minutes. And here it is all done. I didn't get to taste it, but it smelled delicious. And my husband, as well as all of his coworkers, confirmed it was indeed very yummy, and my kiddos enjoyed it too. All right, friend, that's all I have for you today. Thanks so much for hanging out with me in my kitchen. I hope you enjoyed. I hope that this was helpful to you and gave you some new ideas and new ways to use things in your own kitchen for your own family. I appreciate you all being here so much and taking the time out of your day to spend some time with me. I hope you have a blessed week, and I will see you next time. Take care.